In this tutorial, I want to show you how you can set up a mock-up for an entire desk set. Now for this, we want to be able to place the same logo in all of these different little items and have them change the size and maybe even be rounded if it's on a curved surface. So to get started with this, we're going to open up the desk set JPEG in Photoshop and do make sure your layers panel is open. Now before we begin with anything, we need to create an area that you can place your smart object and your logo into. The quickest and easiest way to do this is to use your vector drawing tool. I'm going to use my rectangle tool. With the rectangle selected, up at the very top, make sure you're working in shape mode. You can set the fill color to be whatever you want. I'm just going to turn it a orange for now and make sure there's no stroke selected for the outline. I'm going to create a simple little square off to this left-hand side, and this will be the rectangle area that we're going to work in to place our logo. If we go to our layers panel, before we do anything else, we need to convert this rectangle to a smart object. So with that layer selected, go up to the options and choose Convert to Smart Object. Now that it's a smart object, it has a little icon. We can rename it Place Logo Here. From here, we can place this same layer in a variety of different places, and all we have to do is to copy that layer. So with it selected, I'm going to use my Move tool, my black arrow. I'm going to hold down the Option key as I click on it and drag to make a copy of that layer. Now as soon as I do, pay attention to your Layers panel. Notice that it'll give it the name Copy. I want to rename it in the appropriate place that I'm placing it. Since this first copy is going to go on my envelope, I'm going to type that in, just to keep track of where it should be. From here, I can then scale it down and place it roughly where I want my logo to be for the envelope, and hit return for that. Repeat this process for each of the different things that you're creating. So I'm going to hold down Option, make a copy of it. Let's place it inside of the iPhone. Again, as soon as you make a copy, rename that layer. Let's do one for the USB stick. Rename it. This will be our book cover. Business card. And we'll do this one for the mug. Now for this mug, since it's on a curved surface, we want to be able to warp and distort this so that it looks like it's rounded as well. To do this, it can be a simple distortion by going up to Edit, down to Transform, and choose Warp. This will give you the ability to click on the edges of your design and warp it to be slightly curved on the top and bottom edge. It doesn't have to be 100%, but this will be a good starting point for the design that we have. Once this is finished, let's clean up our area to make it simpler to use your mock-up. Go into our layers. We can select all of the products that we have, but not the Place Logo Here layer. With those layers selected, you can click on the group and place them inside of a group. And I'm simply going to rename this Products. D-U-C-T-S, there we go. And I'm going to place my logo instructions at the very top up here. Now if someone were to use my mock-up, all they have to do is double-click on the smart object to be able to place their object in there. Before we test it, let's go up to File and save this as a Photoshop file. We'll call it our desk set, make sure the format is Photoshop, and make sure you've got your layers saved up as well. To test it, I've given you a test logo, and this is a vector design. So we're going to double-click on the smart object, and let's place it inside of this area. So we'll go up to File and Place. We'll choose our test logo and say OK. Now when this is brought in, you can see that it's going to be placed on top of the rectangle. So if I was using this as a mock-up or giving it to someone else, maybe I would rename this layer Remove This Layer. This way they can turn off the visibility for it so they can only see the logo that we've placed. Now when we go up to File and Save, jump back into here, you can see how our logo is nice and placed on all of the different products, and it's been reused over the different layers that we made copies of. Since this works, we can now save it up and upload it to our Moodle page.